Welcome to the Artery Report, your weekly recap of the top vascular news. Not only the top headlines, but also insight from vascular surgeon Dr. James Antezana from Charlotte, North Carolina. Thank you so much, Dr. A, for joining us. Excited for our first edition. And of course, you got your halo on your head. Always an angel here on this planet, saving life and limb.
Thank you, Kim. It's an honor to be here, and I'm just ready to help as best as I can and contribute to the knowledge of our patients out there who suffer P.A.D.
Yeah, this week we're going to talk about nanobots, microplastics clogging the arteries. And of course, this is your topic and my topic of all time. It's olive oil. We're going to talk about olive oil to clear your arteries. So, are you ready to hit the headlines, Dr. A?
Absolutely. Let's go for it.
Okay. So, let's get to the first story. Heart disease, #1 killer, even still
Yes.
worldwide, largely because, right, of atherosclerosis, the buildup of cholesterol and plaque inside our arteries, but also peripheral artery disease or PAD, the buildup of plaque in the leg arteries. It's a disease more prevalent and deadlier than most cancers combined. But check this out, a team of engineers at Drexel University may have just taken a major step toward changing how we treat both leg and life threatening diseases. They've developed tiny robotic tools called micro swimmers. Now, think of them as microscopic helpers, smaller than a grain of dust that can travel through the bloodstream. Their goal is simple, but I would call it revolutionary: find plaque and help remove it. These micro swimmers are made from tiny iron oxide beads linked together into a corkscrew shape inspired by the way certain bacteria move throughout the body. Now, once inside the bloodstream, doctors can actually steer them using an external magnetic field. By adjusting the strength and the direction of that field, they can guide the micro swimmers straight to a blockage. How fun would that be? Now, when they arrive, the spinning motion, the spinning motion that they have helps to loosen the plaque. And then through a minimally invasive catheter, something Dr. A is very familiar with, a micro scale drill clears out the debris. But here's the remarkable part, I think. Once the job is done, the biodegradable beads release anticoagulant medication right at the treatment site, helping to prevent new plaque from forming. Now, it's still in the early stages of research, but this technology, I think, does hint at a future where clearing arteries could become less and less invasive, more precise, and far safer for patients. So, Dr. A, from a clinical standpoint, how realistic do you think it is that micro robots or these micro swimmers could one day be used inside human arteries? And do you see any major scientific hurdles, safety hurdles, especially with that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think the concept is extraordinary. It's very noble in its approach. I think we're not completely there yet, and with the new wave of people's dietary changes and the consciousness of their health in general, I think in the future, by the time these nano robots are out there available, it's going to be limited to a small portion of our population because most people are going to be healthier and will not have peripheral artery disease like we see it now. What I do see as a problem is the primary hurdles for these nanobots are going to be the biocompatibility, of course, the possibility of distal embolization, which is an issue, and the having systems that reliably retrieve these after they're done doing their job. Also, we have to make sure that these nanobots do not cause more damage while they're in there. So I think it's the concept is fascinating. It's sci-fi at its best, but I think we're still far away from that. And by the time that technology really becomes developed and it's approved by the FDA, I think you're going to start seeing a new wave of people treating their bodies differently than we have seen in the past. I think the baby boomers and Gen Xers are probably going to be the last ones to see PAD the way we see it. I see the new generations, millennials, and going forward, they're not going to have that type of issues. We're going to have other types of issues, but not associated to atherosclerosis in that manner.
Oh, wow, that is really encouraging. You just see the younger generation eating a lot healthier. I mean, and we're going through a big wave of changes right now, just starting with awareness of the ultra processed foods and the impact on our bodies. And you even have, I think he's the attorney general in San Francisco, that
Uh-huh.
is going after a couple of the manufacturers, right, of ultra processed foods and saying, hey, stop hiding crap inside these products, start using real things. And the funny thing is, I see that in my X feed, and then right after that is the new Oreo, zero sugar Oreo that has even more ingredients in there that you can't even recognize. So
No, it is.
hopefully,
It's amazing. I think we're really cognizant about, consuming products that don't have preservatives and things that are affecting us directly and indirectly. The use of these apps and artificial intelligence is now aiding in selecting our
mm,
foods, and now we're more discriminative of what's on the shelf. I mean, I find myself in the grocery store using my Yuka app, checking absolutely every product
yep,
that I go through, and
I love
selecting the
that
stuff
app.
that's healthier for you, avoiding all those biohazard substances that I don't want in my body. But I've got cravings for these delicious things that I used to enjoy as a kid, and now I can't take them because I'm conscious of what is in them. And I know the the target now is to age slowly or even reverse your aging, and so you don't want to put any pollutants into your body that's going to make you age quicker.
Nope. So with these nanobots, how do you see them fitting in? I mean, for those people that we will need, that will still need a little rotor readings, will still need their arteries cleaned out. Do you see these nanobots as a potential replacement for our standard angioplasty and stenting processes?
I think it's hard to say. I mean, this is a microscopic technology that it's so intricate and so sophisticated.
Yeah.
Um, as a vascular surgeon in the open realm and endovascular realm, it's kind of hard for me to envision these nanobots going through there, like what we see in some cartoon animations. But it's completely possible. I think technology is advancing at enormous strides, and I think that the possibility of this in the future exists, and perhaps the technology will be developed in the next decade or so. That's the challenge, is the timing, and that's why I said, by the time these things get developed, are we going to have that type of disease? But it's fascinating because having this microtechnology, you can deliver, like you said, drugs directly to the site and remove debris and recanalize vessels that have been completely occluded. I mean, the concept is noble. I think it's depends on what the trials show.
I'm also wondering, it was mentioning that it was going to include an anticoagulant in there to prevent, what I would imagine they're talking about is restenosis, but I would think that one of the cancer drugs, the chemo drugs that are already used on several devices, the drug-eluting stents and the balloons, I would think that those would be more fitting in this type of situation, or am I wrong?
No, no, you're totally right. I think that your perspective is right on the dot. I mean, it's what's in vogue now. It's what's available to us in these times. It's great to have this technology. I think there's going to be a utility for it, down the road for other pathologies that perhaps we're going to encounter, such as cerebral embolizations, and where you need, more intricate work, where these nanobots can be successful going into the brain and clearing vessels in the brain, so that precious CPU can continue to be preserved and flow goes through there.
And you mentioned a little bit ago about a concern with potential for distal embolization, but do you have any other concerns about navigating these devices inside real diseased vessels, especially in
I
patients that have complex plaque calcification?
No, absolutely. I think there's just it's complex. There's fibrous material. There's
Yeah.
thrombus. I mean, there's just so many things. But because these things are so tiny and small, I'm sure they can navigate through there without any difficulty. But the question is, what technology is going to drive them? What's the what's the engine. I mean,
Delivery.
it's just unbelievable. It's incredible, just to imagine and envision these little nanobots doing these incredible
Right.
things. Yeah, it's fascinating.
I would be worried that these nanobots might go rogue and eat through the vessel wall or something and perforate. That
Well, I
would be
think
a
they're going to be
concern.
designed
You
in a
never
way
know.
that, well, I think that there's going to be algorithms that are going to be, these things are going to be programmed. These
It,
little artificial intelligence is going to be driving these things, through these vessels and remodeling these vessels, just like our bodies do, just like our cells go in there and macrophages that go and they're scavengers and they remove debris and clear things up. I mean, they're just going to make it more efficient, and it's going to be a great adjunct to the human, body, I guess.
And I love that you've given us a little hope that you think the future generations, that the earliest generations, our youngsters right now, goodness gracious, I'm calling them youngsters, the kids of today, your kids of today, are not going to be facing this type of disease. You think everyone's going to be eating much healthier, be more conscientious. And I think that that is really important. But there's also another concern. A new study is actually raising serious concerns about how microplastics may affect our hearts. Researchers analyzed arterial plaque from 258 patients. I don't know why not 260, but
Wow.
258 patients, 258 undergoing surgery for blocked neck arteries, the carotids. They found microplastics in 60% of those samples. And the patients who had microplastics weren't just more inflamed, they were 4.5 times more likely to have a heart attack, stroke, or die within the next 3 years, according to their research. Now, the study doesn't prove microplastics actually cause the heart disease, but it
Correct.
does show a strong correlation, right? And
Yep.
that does matter because microplastics are already known to trigger inflammation, oxidative stress, blood vessel damage, and abnormal heart rhythms as well. But I think what's most alarming is how widespread microplastics are. They're in our water, they're in our food, they're in the air we breathe, even in products that we just would never suspect. And some studies have actually found enough nanoplastics in human organs to form an entire spoon. In
Wow.
this new research, I know, right? Most of the particles found in arteries were polyethylene, the plastic used in water bottles and packaging, and PVC, which to me is really concerning, used in pipes and medical devices. So, scientists think that these particles may bind to fat molecules, allowing them to become trapped in arterial plaque. Researchers say more work, of course, is just needed to be done to understand the exact health impact, but this study adds to growing evidence that reducing plastic exposure may be more important than we once thought. So, Dr. Antezana, when you hear that microplastics were found in the arterial plaque of 60% of
Yeah,
surgical patients,
that's very
and that
concerning.
those patients,
So,
right, and they had a much higher risk of the heart attack or stroke, and I would even say even amputation. What is your reaction as a vascular surgeon?
well, I'm appalled because it's an industrial contaminant. This is part of living in an industrial world, industrial country. The whole world is exposed, and our biome is going to be adapting to it, and we have been adapting to it. I think that now, we're eliminating BPH from our plastics, and these things are changing our life, and we're just evolving with the knowledge that we're getting. I think it's important that we take care of not putting more pollutants into our body and decreasing
Yeah,
the inflammation that these cause. I mean, it's no different than taking cigarettes, right? Except at a micro dose of the plastics. It's the same thing. And if you are smoking, you're just gonna enhance everything. You're putting all the pieces together to create an advanced atherosclerosis, which we're seeing, in these patients, these Gen Xers and these baby boomers with severe peripheral artery disease. But there's a catalyst. It's not just the plastic, it's a combination of things. We
yeah.
can't blame one thing, and we need to evolve with the knowledge to mitigate and prevent these things causing us significant harm. I think we can't eliminate everything. That's just a risk of living. We have to
Yeah.
adapt.
So the study shows correlation, not causation. So, from your perspective, what are the most important scientific questions that we do still need to answer before we can really understand how microplastics truly impact our artery health?
I think our bodies are eliminating these things out of the system, but some of them get trapped. They get trapped in, and the plaque that's circulating through the arteries, and that plaque that's inflamed is just capturing some of these things that we're seeing. I'm not, I think there's still a lot of studies to be done to determine if there is causation and if it does, affect, the atherosclerotic process. I think it's good knowledge to know. It's concerning,
Yeah.
but I don't think we have anything clear just of yet.
So, with all of these microplastics in our food and our water and our environment, any practical guidance that you offer your patients who want to reduce their exposure or protect their cardiovascular health?
Well, eating habits are so important. I think we're going to be talking about this shortly. Is the use of extra virgin olive oil, and that mitigates inflammation tremendously. And we're seeing this historically in the areas of high consumption of EVOO. I recommend to my patients all the time, decreasing the amount of products that cause inflammation, such as processed foods, sugars. I think sugar is probably one of the most potent inflammatory substances that we've been ingesting for generations in America, and it's contributed to obesity. And then high fructose corn syrup, which also is a poison, and it's in creating an epidemic of obesity. Everything has, these products in the foods that we consume in America. There are substitutes that are cheap and easily produced, and the industry is going to use it because they make money. So it's now our responsibility, knowing this, having this knowledge, to be able to change our dietary habits and look for the natural stuff that we were designed to sustain, not the ones that are fillers in there, helping the industry to grow while we dwindle in our health.
And you led right into our next story, which I'm most excited about. I know you are too. So, a new
Absolutely.
study, right? A new study from King's College London, released just this month, is shedding fresh light on how our daily diet may influence long term heart health. Researchers followed thousands of adults, not 258, thousands of adults over several years. See, I think this is a more powerful study. They followed these thousands of adults over several years and found that people who regularly consumed polyphenol rich foods, things like extra virgin olive oil, woohoo, nuts, berries, tea, oolong tea, green tea, as well as whole grains, actually had healthier blood pressure, better cholesterol levels, and a significantly lower predicted risk of cardiovascular disease. But what makes this study stand out is the way researchers measured polyphenol intake. You're going to love
Yep.
this, Dr. A. Instead of relying only on food questionnaires, they also used urinary biomarkers to objectively confirm what participants were actually eating. That, I think, gives this study a higher level of scientific confidence. But it's important to note that the study did not show that olive oil or polyphenols actually reverse plaque or cure heart disease. So important because there are a few social media memes that claim that oleocanthols in 90 days are going to actually completely reverse the plaque in your arteries. And what this study is saying, no, we're just saying it improves your health, it improves your risk factors. But it really does reinforce something that we have seen for a long time in Mediterranean style eating patterns for years, that foods rich in the polyphenols do appear to support healthier arteries and reduce long term cardiovascular risk. This latest research suggests that what we add to our plates each day may play a more powerful role in heart health than we actually realize. And this is what Dr. A has been talking about this entire first, the artery report. And this is why you say that the youngsters, the kids of today, are going to be healthier in the future than even we are.
Oh, absolutely. Totally. The polyphenol concentration in extra virgin olive oil is key for its success.
Yeah.
And although there's no scientific evidence that it does reverse plaque, what it does, it mitigates inflammation at all levels. I mean, there are inflammatory substances like oleocanthal that represents even non-steroidal anti-inflammatories in the way they work, and that's how they work. Their potency is incredible, and it helps endothelial function. It decreases the stiffness of the vessels. It
Mhm.
mitigates, the inflammation from all the substances that you're consuming. In my mind, I always envisioned this old Italian man carrying a little pail going up a hill with a cigarette in his mouth, and you're thinking, wow, he's 90 years old. He's been smoking his
Yeah.
entire life. Why is he still alive? In America, they don't get to that age. Well, the thing is that although he is smoking, he is mitigating his inflammation by consuming extra virgin olive oil. That's why he's walking and he still has a cigarette in his mouth. So when I get a patient that's resilient and does not want to quit smoking, what do I tell them? Drink plenty of olive oil. It's going to mitigate the inflammation. It's going to alleviate some of your aches and pains, and it's going to help promote good endothelial, function. And it'll, give you a little bit more longevity. But if they didn't smoke and they did the EVOO, of course, their life would be extended. It would be a better option.
I'm a firm believer in it, as you know. My dad literally had inflammation around his heart. He had fluid around his heart, around his lungs. Following a few weeks following a heart cath, he had gotten the COVID vaccines. He'd gotten, I think it was the pneumonia vaccine. The first he did them all, in a row, and his body was just going haywire. And his dietitian said, try this extra virgin olive oil. Make sure it's early harvest, hand picked, cold pressed, extra virgin olive oil, and go to this place, amphoranueva.com/Marin. Call them and make sure you talk to Gilberto. We call him DSO now, or DSO Junior, his sidekick there, Eduardo. But they got my dad on this, and within a few weeks, his inflammation went down, and you could actually see the results clinically. Just recently, now fast forward a few years, my dad has been having shots of this oil every single day, this special olive oil every day. And he went and got a PET scan just last week. No ischemia in his heart. The stents, everything all clear. The doctor was like, you literally have a better heart than 90% of my patients, even half your age. Like, you are doing amazing.
I
So
tell you,
I'm a firm
awesome.
believer.
Yeah, me too. I mean, thanks to you, Kim, 5 years ago, I think 4 or 5 years ago, that you got me on it for the arthritis in my hands, and my hands feel great. And
Yep.
yeah, I wake up limber in the morning. I don't have aches in my feet. And I just got my last methylation test and my biomarkers, and I'm 54, but I have a biological age of a 40-year-old. So
Ah,
it's
that's an insane.
I'm sure it's the olive oil plus all the other
Yep.
stuff I take, but and then watching my diet. I always recommend to my patients to, do intermittent fasting, eat only one meal a day, be well hydrated, make sure that they're walking and exercising regularly. They don't need to go and go to the gym for hours or run miles, nothing like that. Yeah, they have to have a normal level of activity without strenuous efforts so they don't hurt themselves. And that way they
Right.
extend their life, and then they also develop good collateral flow. I've realized that the patients that I've put stents in and opened up their arteries, tibial vessels, et cetera, that are on olive oil, their results last a lot longer and they're happier
Are you
patients. And yeah, and
serious?
I've got a lot of patients on there. I mean, I send a lot of patients to Eduardo and Gilberto, and the patients are happy. They're happy with the product. They're happy with the olive oil. And it's not every olive oil that's the same. I had a patient that was on olive oil for a whole year, and he says, yeah, I get the organic stuff. And he shows me a bottle from Costco. And I'm like, no, no, no,
Yep.
no. Those things
Oh,
are
and they
no
always
good.
say, "Oh, it's high quality. Oh, Costco gets
Right,
really
right.
high
And
quality." I
because it
was like,
says
"Ugh."
organic, And so you have to be looking at the concentration of polyphenols. You got to be between 200 to 500 milligrams per kilogram of weight of olive oil to have a good quality polyphenol. And the three main polyphenols that are important are, of course, the oleocanthal, the hydroxytyrosol, and the tyrosol. And
Yeah.
those three, if they're present in high concentrations, they give you the benefits that you're looking for. So I always recommend my patients to buy them from my source because I consume it from there. And honestly, you can't find a better product. I'm sure there's other people out there buying the stuff and selling it. And I know Brian Johnson, the guru, the health guru slash ex owner of
Wow.
PayPal. He looks like he's got a biomarker of an 18-year-old and he's in his late 40s and looks great. He's trying to commercialize the olive oil, but he buys them in bottles and they're stacked in the warehouse and they're just sitting there
Yeah.
oxidizing.
And so it's really good. It's the good olive oil. They're white
Yes,
labeling it,
it is. It is. It
but
is
the
the good olive
problem
oil.
is, right? So it's the source, but then you hit the nail on the head on that one. That, well, that's great. It is the great stuff, but it's just sitting in a warehouse waiting.
Oxidizing, oxidizing.
Yes,
So what I
that's the
what I
problem.
envision for our wellness center at SCGVS, the Eternigen Wellness Institute, is that we don't want to have the bottle sitting in our shelf. So we're going to have a an agreement, a collaboration between Hilberto's group and us, where we're going to have our patients get everything from them. So they're getting it fresh all the time because they bottle the olive
Yeah.
oil right there when they're ordered. And they're not sitting on the shelf and they're turning over their product quickly. And that's what you want. You want to consume this stuff fresh. You don't want to buy something from a grocery store that's been sitting in a warehouse for 6 months to a year.
And what I love about what they do is they only deal with the small farmers, the small growers, and they teach them from the ground up, from the soil up, every aspect of the process to ensure that every step preserves the clinical quality of their olives. And I think that that's huge.
Yeah, it's tremendous.
That's why I think it works.
It does. I mean, it does. Totally does. And when I was in Bolivia just recently, my parents have had olive oil. Like I told my mother, and they got theirs from a Spanish source. And I tasted the olive oil, and it tasted so bland compared to the ones that I get from Amphora.
Mm, they
The
kick
ones
you in
from
the throat.
Amphora, they're spicy. They got that peppery taste, and that's where the polyphenols are. When you're
Yeah.
taking the olive oil and you feel that little kick, that's the polyphenols that are going to go in there and kick you into good health. Versus the ones that go smoothly down. I tell my patients, if it goes smoothly down, you'll have nice soft poops, but you're not going to have any benefit otherwise.
And I was just talking to DSO Junior, that's what we call him, Eduardo today, because we went in and picked up. And what I love about them, everything, it's in small quantities. So you always have to get in there and know when they're getting the highest of highest polyphenol counts in there. And they just had some come in, which I heard you got a shipment
Yep.
as well.
Yep.
So I went and picked up mine today. And he was saying one of our, there's our leg saver hotline, which it looks like my team has answered. I don't know if you heard or saw that, but the phone pops up on my screen
Oh, cool.
and there it is again. There we go. It's answered, but it rings right through like Saver Hotline. You can see it right up there. Always, always, always call. We're here 24/7 to help you. But Eduardo was saying that one of our patients who actually had called the hotline recently was watching one of our videos the other day, and we were talking about this olive oil as well. And so he called the store today, right before I came in, and he gave him a few options, and he was trying to help him figure out which one he would like better. And I said, no, 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 no. Junior, it's not about which one they like better. You just give them the one that packs the highest punch. And he said, well, they're all over 400 count and there's no
That's
other
plenty.
that compares to it. Right. I
Right.
don't care how it tastes. I've gotten used to it. And even Gilberto, the gentleman who runs the whole place, we were going to be giving them a couple bottles to some chefs down at one of our favorite resorts.
Mhm.
And he says, don't give them the one with the highest, give them the one with the higher smoke point and the balance and the flavor because they're all about that. And I was like, You don't understand that people get used to the flavor of the highest polyphenol, like your
Absolutely.
body, your taste, right? It's too bland for me. Sometimes the food is too bland for me if I have a bland olive oil. I love the grassiness of that olive oil. I love when it packs a punch.
Absolutely. I totally agree. I totally.
So now that we've just advertised for them, man, where's our kickback for that?
Yeah, I know. I know. They barely give us
We
10%
don't.
discount.
Yeah, so make sure you mention and you will get a 10% discount, for mentioning us. But thanks, Dr. A. That was really fun. Our very first, the Artery Report. I think great
My
content that
pleasure. This was fun.
everyone's
Absolutely. There's so
we'll
much
have to
out
do it
there
again.
to absorb all this knowledge that we have. And yeah, we need
Yeah.
to embrace technology, and we have to welcome the new things that are coming down the pipeline. But in the meantime, we got to take care of ourselves on a daily basis and eat well, exercise, enjoy life, have good mental health, and don't forget, there's a component into having a spiritual ink link, because it gives you stability and emotional strength to keep trekking along.
Yep. Thanks, Dr. A. Thanks, everyone, for joining us for this very first The Artery Report. Make sure you do subscribe to our channel, the youtube.com/the @ the way to my heart. Also, don't forget, if you have any questions about peripheral artery disease or diet or exercise or even how to get a hold of Dr. Antezana, give us a call right here at 1-833 PAD legs. Thanks, everyone, for joining us.
Thank you. Good night.